Let's call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please read the roll?
Yes, Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Motion to approve the agenda and also the minutes of November 23rd as proposed.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Discussion, gentlemen? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We've got some new business.
Okay, we'll take the first
Thank
few
you.
items. First, we have travel request, Steve Hostetler, permit writer, for the residential mechanical inspector exam in Coralville, Iowa, December 17th, at amount not to exceed $168. And then we also have Barry Stratton, property safety inspector for the 2012. Is that correct? Fire inspection exam?
Yes.
It is, okay. Catching up. In Coralville, Iowa, which was December 1st, at amount not to exceed $194. Move we approve those two items.
Second.
Motion, second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those items pass. And we have some pre-auths.
Pre-authorizations, we have building maintenance in the amount of $3,575 for preventative maintenance agreement. Central garage, $6,543.57 for injector kit for truck 15102. Fire, not to exceed $5,200 for Motion F5M rugged tablet PC and all accessories. Leisure services, $2,048 plus $120 shipping for 2 safety nets. Leisure services, $2,850 for block work and door installation for a 9-foot by 15-foot young arena employee time clock room. Planning, $9,250 for asbestos abatement pipe wrap for 325 Commercial Street. Planning, this is amended, $2,200 for archaeological assessment for South Waterloo Business Park. This is amendment to increase $600 for surface survey. Police, $4,190 for 8 Glock 22 handguns and 2 Glock 23 handguns. Police, $3,072.94 for renewal of hardware software agreement for the storage area network servers. And police, $3,587.50 plus $3 shipping for 100 taser training cartridges and 50 taser duty cartridges. Sanitation, not to exceed $4,250 for annual recycle and yard waste calendar mailing. Sewer, $3,998 plus $300 shipping for pump rebuild parts for number 2 Titus Lift Station pump. Traffic operations, $5,320 for controller cabinet and anchor bolts. Traffic operations, $2,600 for 2 3-section traffic signal heads and 3 pedestrian heads. Traffic operations, $1,623.50 for aluminum pole base, push button, and assemblies.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Do we have discussion?
I had a couple of questions,
Thank you.
and one was on the Motion F5 rugged tablet PC and all accessories. So these types of changes, do we run those through our IT department? Because this seems like a one-off that we don't have or never have had, and how does it fit in with the rest of our devices?
Pat Treeler, Chief Fire Services. This purchase wasn't run through the IT department. It's a product that we feel that will work best with the new ESO software that we're using for the ambulance service. And when we're out in Austin at the ESO conference, a number of vendors were out there, and we sampled and tried this product. My understanding is there's approximately three companies that sell this motion product. And from the bids we got in, it seems to me that all the pricing is basically the same, other than what they might throw in for accessories, that sort of thing. So the tablet itself sorry, I don't have the communication in front of me. I think it was somewhere in the $3,200 range. And it's intrinsically safe, has a code reader and signature line on it and a number of different things. We're currently using Toughbook laptops that we're going to transition away from, especially with the ability to have a tablet work in the fashion that we need it to in the field.
So who's going to support this tablet for you? I mean, are you going to rely on IT to support it?
No,
So you're going to support it yourself?
correct.
I mean, from my opinion, and working in an IT shop myself, I think these types of expenditures should at least get some IT input, personally. But
Okay.
that's just.
I could certainly have the conversation.
That's just my
with,
opinion. And
with
then
Chris on it.
the question about all accessories. Do we really need all accessories, or do you need?
Well,
some accessories?
that wording was thrown in there because the top amount, I think it's 5,200. 5,200. I'd expect that it'd come in more like 4,500. So all the options available. We may not need. I can't think of a couple of the options right now, but we might not need them all. But certainly, the full entire package that comes with it would be up to 5,200. And I don't anticipate spending all of that.
So, okay, so can you talk to IT and just make sure it's going to be compatible with whatever it is we got already?
I certainly can, yes.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Did
Just
you have another one?
More,
Did you have
David?
another one?
Yeah, just
I got a
another.
couple while you're looking.
Go ahead if you want to jump in.
For planning, Noel,
That's nice for Christmas.
that's right. Or maybe, I don't know, who wants to talk about the money for the asbestos at Commercial Street? I was just wondering where that money's coming from. I know we talked about TIF money, but then it looks like it's bond money, so I was just wondering if anybody can tell me that. The 9250,
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a grant, but wasn't
and I might have misread it too, so.
trying to find the right thing.
I know, that's a drawback to these things. Well, while you're looking for that,
No, don't ask me another question.
Sandy, the damage for the pedestal heads and traffic signals and all that stuff, those last two items, are any of those being covered by anybody's insurance? I'm assuming not ours because of the deductible, but whoever did.
Superintendent Traffic. Anything that, usually is an accident is covered by insurance. The one at Allen Hospital that some of this is for, however, we're not sure, but it's Allen Hospital Signal. So they are paying for all of the equipment and materials. And then we in turn will bill the person who hit it for the labor, and then Allen will go after them for the materials. But Allen will reimburse us for all the equipment.
So we're going to recoup most or some of this
Yes,
money now?
yes,
Okay.
all the equipment will be
Great.
reimbursed
All
for.
right, thank you. Well,
Thank you.
We're still
I don't
If
working
know.
that's
on.
gonna be reimbursed, you need to see me about how you're coding the information, because I don't think it was coded that way. Okay, so planning that, he does have it coded to bond money on there, nuisance bond money, so I will assume that's how he's planning to do that particular part of it.
Because didn't we talk about with the bakery building that some of that was going to be with TIF money, or am I mixing that up with something else?
We did the streetscape. Eric Schrader, do you know about the pre-auth?
For the bakery building, the asbestos, where that money, that 9250 is coming from?
Eric Schrader, city planner. I do not have direct knowledge. I know that there was discussion of multiple options of where it could be paid from. I thought it was his suggestion that we move forward using the TIF funding.
I know, but
thought,
they put bond funding on here, and I don't know if that's an error or if that's what he really means to do. So I'll follow up with him. The pre-auth, we don't necessarily code the payments that way.
Get an answer for you.
Well, and if we'll address it correctly regardless, is what you're saying?
Yeah, when
Okay.
we, yep, when we.
All right. And I think David.
David?
another
Yeah,
question.
just a real quick one on police for the renewal of hardware software agreement for storage area network servers. Again, is that something we ran through IT? I know you guys kind of maintain your own stuff, but it's kind of a best practice to leverage our internal IT just to do a review of those types of things.
Dan Trelka, Director of Safety. We certainly can, but some of the software and hardware we have is not compatible with city's hardware and software.
Right,
And,
but just as an IT professional, I mean, you've got one here on staff that you can leverage for these types of things to just have a deeper understanding of what it is you're getting for your dollar.
We can certainly have our IT person communicate with him. She is well-versed in our needs and functions.
The police
Okay.
department has an IT staff,
Okay.
separate from.
Separate?
Yes, she has a dual role. She's the records manager, but she also is their IT person for all the police department IT stuff.
Probably wouldn't hurt to have them talk a little bit, though.
Yep.
Just saying,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
just wanted to make sure
IT
you knew that they
professionals.
had
Yeah,
one
I knew
in
we
there. Okay.
had one, but I just think it's always, you know, a best practice to look at these kinds of things.
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Not me. No.
All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Those items pass. I move that we approve budget line item amendments 4 through 9. Copies are on file in Ms. Scher's office.
Carolyn, can I ask just one question on item number 9? So the way I read that on the Whitewater project, does that tell me that that grant has been approved for the 245,865? Is that correct?
That is correct. I
Okay.
should let Paul answer that.
I know there was that conversation going on a couple weeks ago, and I didn't know if that had been finalized.
Yes, WDC has approved the full amount.
Gotcha.
We also had a conversation last week about a potential grant that we're going to submit that might reduce their cost to that. That's a $50,000 grant. Did you?
I just want to say gaming has also approved the use of the WDC money because it's kind of
Thank
a
you. Yeah, it's
party
actually
for
gaming
everyone
money,
to,
right.
yeah.
So it's not coming out of your budget?
Correct.
Right.
It's coming out of gaming money through WDC's allocation.
Thank you. There's the hole.
No, stuck at the microphone on your way back.
No,
Okay,
the-
could we finish the
Nose-
vote? or-
Well, nose back. Oh, okay.
Okay, the vote on the line item amendments, all in favor, vote by the sign of aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Those items pass. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
The question was about the 9250 for the asbestos on the bakery building.
It's paid for out of downtown bond funds to be repaid with TIF increment.
So it's going to be paid with TIF?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
All questions?
Yes.
All right. I move that we pay the bills this week, which are $3,939,490.32, 3,939,490.32.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, vote by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Those items pass. We're going to pay the bills. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for your time. We are adjourned.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterloo City Council this Monday, December 7th. Welcome to all of you that are in our audience tonight and those that might be watching on our public access television channel. Madam Clerk, would you start us, please, by calling the roll?
Yes, Ms. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Lind?
Here.
Mr. Morrissey?
Here.
Mr. Welper?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Very good. If you would all please join me in standing for just a moment of silent reflection and prayer, please. Thank you very much. Our pledge tonight is going to be led by Mr. Quentin Hart, our Mayor Pro Tem, and others stuff, and I'll talk about that in just a minute, and Ward 4 Council Member. Mr. Hart, please.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Before we get into the agenda tonight and to regular business, I just think it's appropriate that we take a minute and recognize those that ran for office a month ago after the general election. I did so, and I recognized all of those folks that just signed up and got into it. It takes a lot of courage to do that, so we appreciate that. And then there was a runoff situation in a couple of instances. Mr. Hart and Mr. Hurley were in a runoff, and Mr. Amos and Chris Schwartz were in a runoff that happened this past Tuesday. So I want to make special congratulations, Jerome, to you. Congratulations in being the new Ward 4 council person. And Quentin, God bless you, partner. You ran a good campaign. So good job. It's exciting to be a part of history, and I understand that Mr. Hart is our first African-American mayor, but he's just a fine guy, and as far as I'm concerned, he's just a fine new mayor, no matter what. So congratulations. Anyway, we have 3 more meetings, and the 4th of January you'll take over, and you'll have kind of a administrative meeting, etc. But anyway, congratulations to everybody. And Leah, I see you're here today. So again, to you, just for those folks that have the gumption to step forward and do something besides just complain, it's a pleasure. Thank you all. Now, let's conduct some business.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Hart.
I move that we approve the agenda as proposed. Also, I move that we approve the minutes of November 23rd's regular session.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions or comments regarding the agenda or the minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we receive, place on file, and approve the consent agenda items 1A through 1E. Also, with the approval of the consent agenda, I move that we make our bills payment, which will be read by our finance chair.
And the bills this week are $3,939,490.32, 3,939,490.32.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions or concerns regarding the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, Mr. Morrissey.
I had mentioned this to Ms. Shears before the meeting, but there have been some questions brought up relative to the liquor licenses and the dates on them, and it seems that some of them are well past due, and could Ms. Shears explain that?
I'm assuming it's a timely filed issue, but can you, Ms. Shears?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Once a liquor license applicant has applied online, they are considered timely filed. So the expiration date is not when they file, it's when their last one expired. So on some of them, they either ran into a snag with getting their insurance uploaded online, or during the inspection process had some things they needed to correct before we could take it to council. So as long as they've applied and they're going through the motions and following the steps, that's why sometimes, depending on what their inspection would find, if it's something bigger, we'll certainly work with the applicant to make sure that they can meet the needs of their inspection. So sometimes it does take a couple months, but if it's a big project, it would take a couple months, so we can't bring it to council until they've fully met all of those criteria. But it does mean that they're doing the things that they need to do, and they've applied in a timely fashion.
Thank you.
Further questions on the consent agenda? Is So roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries. Public hearings, item number 2, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 2 is a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing, and that's for the amended and restated East Waterloo Unified Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Plan, which merges the Airport Area Development Plan Urban Renewal Area, or Midport, and the Logan Avenue Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Plan Urban Renewal Area.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries, and the hearing is now open. Madam Clerk, did we have any written objections on file to this item?
I do not have any on file.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either for or against this particular item? Please step to the microphone, give us your name and address, please.
David Dryer, 3145 West 4th Street. Yes, I do. I want to compliment Noel on combining these two because I know you can't transfer or change money from one TIF to the others. So it's ingenious to combine the two so you can take money out of Midport to support Logan Avenue. That's a good brainstorm. I see two, in the paper, I see two little tips up on the north side of the Logan Plaza. Is that part of our purchase, or is that costing us extra money, and who wants those right now? The two little tips up there.
Noel, do you know, can you answer that, please?
You have glasses on?
It's Professor Anderson to you, Mr. Hart.
I meant to wear a tweed shirt or something. Noel Anderson, Community Planning Development Director. The two little added areas that he's referring to, one of them is to the east of 4th Street as it's extended north of Donald. That is land owned by Menards. So as we're looking at the potential redevelopment of Logan Plaza, we're also including that Menards owned land. So we thought it would be prudent to go ahead and include all the Menards land. As in discussions with Menards in the past, they're looking at selling all their land as a whole. So this way it would give us the opportunity to do development on that land to the east if we need to support new development closer to Logan Plaza. The small area to the north is owned by Dr. Sundram. That's the former Krieg School site. As you may recall, he demolished that building there a couple of years back in anticipation of furthering his medical projects out in that area. He also has an existing 7-acre site that his site sits on. He has land to expand on there, but since we partnered with him in the past for new private investment out there, we thought it would be wise to go ahead and include that one in our future plans for the area.
So those two little areas are going to really benefit us? And that's part of that $9.3 million we're paying?
Which 9.3 million?
I thought I saw in the paper that we're buying Logan Avenue Plaza for 9.3.
The actions tonight are just to merge the two TIF districts together. There's no actual project at this time.
But it also includes those two little tips. According to the paper, it includes those two little tips.
The TIF district merger has those as small expansion areas for potential development, yes.
Okay, and that's part of the dollars?
We're not buying anything tonight. There's no dollars. Oh, there's a budget you're talking about within the plan for potential acquisition, yes. They could be. So
Okay,
what the state law says in the plans is we're supposed to anticipate what we may be spending for future projects in the area, so we've gone out and tried to estimate future acquisitions. It could be those parcels, it could be something, again, that's a large TIF district between both of them. It could be acquisition somewhere else, again, let's say ConAgra wanted to expand over on the east side of Wagner Road, we need to buy land there, there could be some there too. So again, it's within the whole TIF, it's not necessarily those parcels. But it gives us the option since they're in the TIF.
Okay, so the option means that we're not buying those two little pieces.
Not with the actions tonight.
The actions tonight, Mr. Dryer, are just to combine the two TIFs, and those two
But that was
parcels
part
are
of what was
included
said
in
in
the
the
TIFs.
paper was that, and these two parcels also.
Okay.
Check the courier.
I-
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral comments.
Second. I'm sorry, counsel, do you have comments now? I'm assuming you do.
I'd just like to have Noel maybe just give us a high-level overview for the audience, kind of give us an idea of
Of what we're doing?
Yes.
So the merging of the two TIFs is actually what Mr. Dryer spoke about, is it gives us the ability for more options, more flexibility between these two TIF districts. We think there's some similarities in there, and we also think that there's a potential, as part of economic development and trying to figure out where projects are going to happen, there's a little bit of a guessing game. So this gives us a little bit more options for if a project happens here, it gives us that flexibility to move the money from the airport to the Logan one if we need it for a project and vice versa. A lot of cities have done this before for similar reasons where they had one TIF performing probably better than another one, but they had a project in the other one and wanted to make it a little bit easier. It allows us to use TIF cash instead of bonding for the city of Waterloo, so we think it's a smarter avenue to go.
So are they both the same type of TIF?
Yes, they are. They're both Slum and Blight TIF. And you have to combine the same ones, otherwise you'd have to go to all economic development if you combined a Slum and Blight one with an economic development one.
And will the merging of it start a new date?
So there is no expiration date for Slum and Blight TIFs.
Okay. David?
Yeah, and that, I received a call on that too. There is no expiration date, and that caused a little heartburn of the caller on that, because it just seems like they may never end, and that's.
But they are that now.
Yes, they
So
are
combining
that.
them doesn't change that at all.
That's correct. It's just that ongoing concern that I told the person that I would bring up, that there is a concern in that area, and I see the point. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank
I
you,
said I
Dave.
would.
And Noel, could you kind of explain a little bit about how the Midport TIF could be a urban renewal TIF?
Sure, and if you've got your maps in front of you, if you had a chance to look at those, it includes portions of the airport area, there was some vacant land there. It also includes majority of West Airline Highway, East Airline Highway, which there's a lot of older industrial buildings. You may recall at a recent council meeting, we just had a development agreement to redevelop the former Control-O-Fax building, which is getting in a deteriorated state. So again, you're getting into a blighted situation. Even though it looks like a nicer area, there's some really old industrial buildings in that area. But more so, it continued down the Broadway corridor. We had a lot of older buildings, especially back when it was adopted. The former Schultz manufacturing site was there, half fallen down. There were some older buildings in there also that we've been working on demolition and clearance and redevelopment of. So it was classified as Slum and Blight because there was a large amount of older buildings, older industrial areas, and brownfield and grayfield areas.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir, Mr. Lynn?
I move to table this item until after the first of the year, so a new council can decide.
Second.
Okay, a discussion on that.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hart?
For those that have visited and frequented that area, then you know that for the past several years, 7 or 8, 10 years, when a lot of us have been on council, we know the urgency of trying to move that part of the community forward. There is interest on behalf of the residents, and council should know that those that actually visit that area and talk to residents there. So tabling this, we have an opportunity right now to do something historic for this particular area. So I am not going to support that table because the community wants it, people want it, and we need to move this project forward with all expediency.
Thanks, Mr. Hart. And I'll just add to that, I think all of you know that we do have a very interested party in the Logan Plaza area for the first time in a very long time. And without combining these two TIFs, it's going to make it very difficult to be able to put that project together. Mr. Morrissey?
Well, I just wanted to add, Mr. Mayor, my opposition to any tabling of this along the same lines that Mayor-elect Hart had presented, but also if you read the material over, it specifies specifically what this whole idea is about, the purposes, why it is a good idea. I think it's been put together with the knowledge that over the course of time, nothing has happened out there in the Logan Plaza area. And being the Ward 3 representative and hearing from the people out in that area, this is something that's time is way past due. And I think time is of the essence for this project to go ahead more than anyone I've heard come before the council since I've been on council.
Anyone else? Mr. Jones?
Just a quick question. Based on where the activity in the Midport TIF district today. Is there any chance in the foreseeable future that TIF would come to an end?
No.
I guess it's your definition of foreseeable future. You know, we have a very good amount of lots being developed out there with the Geraldine Road 3 phases of RISE, the Midport extension going on. So we're getting a lot of that infrastructure in place to get shovel-ready lots. So I think we're definitely moving in that direction. At the same time, it'll depend a little bit on, you know, again, we have some opportunities along the Broadway corridor. The Schultz manufacturing site is a 10-acre site. You know, is there a opportunity there to build a road back behind it for some more industrial lots and then actually help some infrastructure needs in that area for water and sewer and actually fire safety access. So there's different opportunities out there, but we're moving in that direction to, you know, get a lot more of the infrastructure in place so that we have the ability to just move ahead with shovel-ready lots, which would lessen our need for expenses. With this merger, you'll also want to weigh in on, as the Midport area would become more built out, with the opportunities that potentially lie in the Logan Plaza area, we'll have to look at similar things in terms of build out, in terms of lot development, in terms of what we're going on there for projects too. So the foreseeable future, yes. I think everyone's definition of foreseeable might be a little different.
Okay. Yeah, so then by combining them both, you're actually breathing more life into that Midport TIF district, right? Because now it's bigger, right?
I'll let Noel answer that, David, but
Oh, sorry.
my take on it is that we're breathing more life into both TIF districts. I mean, I think it's beneficial to both of them.
I would agree. I mean, there's a saying that success equals preparation plus opportunity, and I think this is preparing us for opportunities that may be out there, and it's going to make that whole area successful as one large TIF.
Yeah, I just wanted to vet out my phone calls and things today.
And you should.
Make sure everything is out in the open as we discuss these items. You know, that area that we're talking about, Logan Avenue Plaza, I mean, it's been in that state for ever since I've lived here. So I think, you know, looking at the bigger picture, that this should be a tool that will help us move forward.
Very good. Further comments, on the motion to table? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to table this item.
Mr. Jones?
No.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
No.
Mr. Welper?
No.
Mr. Hart?
No.
Ms.
Motion-
Cole?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Motion to table fails, and I've lost my place. Where are we?
Resolution determining.
Okay, so there's no further comments from council?
Oh,
I don't think we've closed the hearing yet, have we?
you're right.
No.
All in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to adopt a resolution determining an area of the city to be blighted and economic development area, and that the rehabilitation, conservation, redevelopment, development, or a combination thereof of such is necessary in the interest of the public health, safety, or welfare of the residents of the city, designating such areas as appropriate for urban renewal projects, and adopting an amended and restated East Waterloo Unified Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Plan for such area.
Second?
Madam Clerk, please, that is a roll call vote.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes. Very good, that motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to receive, file, consider, and pass for the first time an ordinance amending ordinance numbers 3912, 4749, and 4902, and providing that general property taxes levied and collected each year on all property located within the amended and restated East Waterloo Unified Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Area of the City of Waterloo, County of Blackhawk, State of Iowa, by and for the benefit of the State of Iowa, City of Waterloo, County of Blackhawk, Waterloo Community School District, and other taxing districts, be paid to a special fund for payment of principal and interest on loans, monies advanced to and indebtedness, including bonds issued or to be issued, incurred by said city in connection with the amended and restated East Waterloo Unified Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Area Project.
Second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Lind?
No.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second. Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry?
Could
Mr.
I, no, the urgency of this, could you talk about that?
Without going into too much detail, there is some urgency with this for the potential acquisitions in and/or around the Logan Plaza area being completed within the month of December. So the sooner the better.
Thank you.
Very good. With that said, Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
No.
Mr. Lind?
No.
Okay, we will address this for the second reading next week. Let's move on to resolutions and do 3, 4, and 5, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Welper.
number 3 is a resolution approving the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Recommendations for the funding for the hotel motel tax mini grant application for the Faith Sports Mid-America Youth Basketball Tournament in the amount of $2,220, and for the National Antique Tractor Pullers Association in the amount of $2,400. Number 4 is a resolution approving the donation of land and acceptance of a quit claim deeds from Karen and Larry Kraft and Mark and Delana Swinar to the City of Waterloo for lots 19 and 20 of Bird's subdivision of Sherwood Park, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute necessary documents. Number 5 is a resolution approving the 2016 budget of the Waterloo Waterworks and authorizing the city clerk to file said documents with the Blackhawk County Auditor.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions or comments regarding 3, 4, and 5? Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Very good, motion's carried. The next 3, 6, 7, and 8, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Cole?
I move 6 is a resolution approving an ancillary agreement with the City of Waterloo and Amera Group and authorizing mayor and city clerk to execute said documents. 7 is a resolution approving an ancillary agreement with City of Waterloo and Amera Health Caritas Iowa, Inc., and authorize mayor and city clerk to execute said documents. 8 is a resolution approving notice of intent for NPDES coverage under general permit to the Iowa DNR for FY 2016 Northeast Industrial Park Sanitary Sewer and Water Main Extension, contract number 900, and authorize mayor to execute said document.
Second.
Council? Comments?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Morrissey?
I had spoken with Chief Treeler the other day regarding this, and just a question had come up, I believe, relative to whether these two private contractors were going to even see it through to the end, and if there was a determination that these were not going to be part of state agreements any further by whatever comes down from up above, if it disapproves of those, what effect that would have if we pass these this evening. I asked Chief Treeler if he could address that
Pat,
issue.
please.
Chief Treeler, I did the Michelle Wiener here. Pat Treeler, Chief Fire Services. So, to answer the question, it's tough to answer because every indication that we've had is that the privatization of Iowa Medicaid is going to move forward. These two organizations have gotten back to us with their contracts. They're very large contracts. We have a training that just came out from the Iowa Department of Human Services that we'll be attending on December 17th in Cedar Rapids that address some of these concerns. If you've been following it in the news, one of the organizations, I think it was WellCare, was suggested to be tossed by an administrative judge. So all of the communication that we're getting out of the Iowa Department of Human Services is that it's a go. And in fact, we are late to the game in signing. There is a slight risk if we don't sign before the end of the year, is that it could affect our reimbursement for our Medicaid calls. So it's my recommendation that we move forward with these two contracts and have them signed by the end of the year. So I'm not sure if that answered your question or not, but all the information out of the Iowa Department of Human Services is that this is moving forward. It's the governor's really motivated to get it done, and I think it's going to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions on 6, 7, or 8? Madam Clerk, it's a roll call vote, please. Thank you, Pat.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Very good, the motion's carried. Could we do the next 3, please? 9, 10, and 11? Mr. Schmidt?
Item number 9 is a resolution approving professional services agreement with the JDE Engineering of Waterloo, Iowa, and an amount not to exceed $112,500 for construction-related services for the fiscal year 2016 Northeast Industrial Park Sanitary Sewer and Water Main Extension, contract number 900, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute said document. Item number 10 is a resolution approving contract, bonds, and certificate of insurance with Ricklifs Excavating Ltd. of Anamosa, Iowa, in the amount of $1,211,318 for the fiscal year 2016 Northeast Industrial Park Sanitary Sewer and Water Main Extension, contract number 900. And item number 11 is a motion approving change order number 1 for a net increase of $7,478.40 for the fiscal year 2016 4th Street Streetscape Repairs, contract number 889, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute said document.
Second.
Council, do you have questions or comments regarding 9, 10, or 11? Madam Clerk, please, it's a roll call vote.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good. Those motions carry. Let's take the next 3 and leave 15 to do by itself. 12, 13, and 14, please.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Morrissey.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving completion of project and recommendation of acceptance of work for work performed by Hardscape Solutions of Iowa Incorporated of Marion, Iowa, at a total cost of $119,437.60 for the fiscal year 2016 4th Street Streetscape Repairs, contract number 889. Number 13, a motion approving change order number 2 for a net decrease of $45,776.45 for the fiscal year 2015 asphalt overlay program, contract number 874, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute said document. And number 14, a resolution approving completion of project and recommendation of acceptance of work for work performed by Aspro Incorporated of Waterloo, Iowa, at a total cost of $3,547,330.27 for the fiscal year 2015 asphalt overlay program, contract number 874.
Second.
Questions or comments, council? Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Very good. The motion carries. Mr. Morrissey, you want to do 15, and you can
Sure.
ask your questions about it also.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing an exception to the City of Waterloo purchasing procedures to approve the installation of 2 boilers at the 5 Sullivan Brothers Convention Center in the amount of $129,789 and approve award of contract to Young Plumbing and Heating of Waterloo, Iowa.
Second.
Very good. Mr. Morrissey, you have a question?
Well, the question that was posed to me earlier today was having to do with what and why the exception.
Craig Clark, building official. Okay, so what we're asking for, and I'm going to hand out actually the bid tabs. So what we actually did is we took the process of having a public hearing which is more than $25,000 by our city policy. You have to have a public hearing, have the bids opened, and all that kind of stuff. And we took that process and combined it into 1 week, which was last week. We opened these bids at 4 o'clock on Friday to get this project going. There's an issue with the boiler at the convention center, and I had a work session even about that. So I don't want to say this is phase one, but this actually gets us through the winter is what it does. It doesn't replace the boilers. We will end up having 5 boilers after the whole project would be complete, or we do the other portion of it, or whatever you want to consider it. But we hired Modus to design it. We are currently going to put in 2 boilers. They will run kind of second hand to our boiler that we currently have. And the other one will be removed that is non-operational. The issue we have is come, we think, around 10 degrees or lower, we will not have enough heat to heat the building at that point. So with this contract, they have to have the work done by January 10th, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that it stays warm till then. And so that was kind of the whole thing. So basically, all we're asking to do is the waive the public hearing and the amount to bring it up to the same amount that the state allows at $135,000 for the public hearing process. And actually, we will be having a public hearing probably mid-January for the rest of the project that we bid out also.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Mr.
What's the rest of it going to cost us?
We anticipated about an $850,000 project, so take the math off what we did here.
Further? It's a roll call vote on item number 15. Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Ordinances, number 16, please.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Hart?
Move to receive, file, consider, and pass for the first time an ordinance amending ordinance number 5285 and ordinance number 5920 by adding an effective date of ordinance number 5285 of July 1st, 2016.
Second.
It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Mayor, could we just have a little
Oh, I'm
explanation?
sorry.
Overview
I'm
of
sorry.
that?
Yes, Mr. Schmidt, of course. Council, you have, no, you do. Who's doing that? Eric?
Eric Schrader, City Planner. I don't have the packet of material in front of me, but what was submitted includes like all of the ordinance numbers and the dates of when, what was passed when, but essentially in review, the City of Waterloo passed a new international property maintenance code. It was planned that at the same time would be adopting a new chapter for parking regulations that would move the parking regulations out of the existing international property maintenance code over into a new chapter in the Code of Ordinances. The ordinance adopting the new international property maintenance code was passed, which had wording to strike the parking regulations because it was the intent to move them over, but the ordinance to adopt the new regulations failed. We then came back and a week, or I think it was a couple weeks later, and adopted an ordinance to do essentially a delayed effectiveness of that ordinance adopting the new International Property Maintenance Code to January 1, 2016. The intent was that that would give us enough time to try and craft a new parking regulations that would address the concerns that were being discussed. We just have not had time to complete that ordinance amendment, so we're asking for another amendment to give a delayed effective date to July 1 of 2016. That way that'll give us enough time to draft a proposal and then try and work with the entities that had concerns with it and try and make sure we've got a good parking regulations going forward.
Basically, you're asking for an extension of what was passed.
An extension of the previous delay.
Yeah. Okay. Further questions? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move to consider and pass for the second and third time and adopt ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries. Item number 17, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Cole?
Go ahead. Oh, you, mine.
I move we receive, file, consider, and pass for the first time an ordinance amending the 2008 traffic code by amending subsection 173A Highland Boulevard, east side, in a northerly direction and west side in a southerly direction of the 300 block.
Second.
Council, do you have any questions or comments regarding that item? Madam Clerk, it's a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
I move we suspend the rules.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
I
Motion.
move we consider and pass for the second and third times and adopt the ordinance.
Yes. Second.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. The neighbors in Highland will thank you, Council. Number 18, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Item number 18 is a motion to receive, file, consider, and pass for the first time an ordinance amending the 2008 traffic code by repealing Section 571A, no parking 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. during school, and inserting in lieu thereof a new Section 571A, no parking 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. during school by adding 5 Sioux Street, both sides of the 1900 block.
Second.
Questions, Council? All in favor, please. I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, it's a roll call vote.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Very good, the motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to consider and pass for the second and third times and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Morrissey?
Yes.
Mr. Welper?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Lind?
Yes.
Very good, the motions carry. Could somebody do 19 and 20, please?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Hart?
move that we approve change order number 1, resulting in an increase of $9,900 to Lehman Trucking and Excavating for the demolition of an agricultural building located at 4012 Laversey Road. In 20, I move for a change order number 5 for the final for the LaPorte Road Pumping Station and Force Main contract number 847. This will bring the contract to a final amount of $467,202.88 with the completion date of November 20th, 2015.
Second.
Council, have any questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our regularly scheduled business tonight. Time for oral presentations. If anybody has any comments for mayor or council, it would be a great time to do so. Please step to the microphone and give us your name and address. Bruce?
Good evening.
Hi, Bruce.
Mr. Kazzer, 514 East 2nd Street, Waterloo. I'm here as an advocate for people with many wide range of disability issues. Like right now, we got 4 full screen television sets in this auditorium that aren't being used to broadcast the meetings. Also, too, I also like to add, like, closed captioning at the bottom of the screen for people with hard of hearing, and seems to me we're wasting these fantastic television sets. And if worse comes to worse, to look good in my apartment.
Okay.
That-
Okay.
That's tongue in cheek, of course, I'm not serious, but thank you. And
Okay.
thank you too, Mayor, for your good work and tenure for your term in office.
Thank you.
Say before you leave.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll look into the closed captioning of these, of broadcasting this to the audience and closed captioning those. Actually, that's a good idea. I've never thought about that. So I'm not sure how technical or how difficult that would be to do, but we'll look into that.
So you kept broadcasting in Braille.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone else?
Jim Chapman, 224 Birch. I think a few weeks ago, we had, 11 or 12 inches of snow, and then we had like 2 inches of rain on top of that. I was just wondering, how did the water treatment plant do through all this water?
What do you mean, how did it do, Jim?
Did it keep up?
Yes.
It seemed like we were having a problem when we had a lot of water going down the drains, and it wasn't keeping up. Now we're keeping up.
Yes, sir, we are.
That's good.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
had no issues at the treatment facility.
Well, I didn't read it in the
plant.
Courier, so I figured, well, if it didn't read it in the Courier, we didn't have no problem.
Yeah, John, do you want to answer more?
John LaPointe, interim wastewater superintendent. We have had no problems keeping up, no sewer system overflows.
Yeah. I know the snow went right away, and we had rain, I think, on top of the snow, and I was just kind of curious if it had any problems down there.
And we're charting all that, and we'll have a lot of data in the next CMOM monthly report.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Good question. Mr. Mayor, motion to receive and file oral comments and adjourn.
Second. Very good. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.